Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is I, Tez Elias, stand-up comedian, actor, full-time uncle, local legend. Welcome to the 2020 Hive In It Together Recognition Awards. Wow. Listen, I will be your host for this evening's event. Yes, it is different to what we normally have, but we're going to make the most of the circumstances. I've not been to the barbers, I've not had my suit pressed, but we're here and we're going to make it great. I'm delighted to be able to shine a light on the exceptional people and businesses that Blackburn with Darwen has to offer. Now, what a year. I mean, remember when we didn't have football for 4 months? 4 months without football. It's the longest time I've had in my life without football. It was way too long. It was tough. It was an extraordinary year in the UK. There was no Wimbledon, no Glastonbury, no London Marathon, no Edinburgh Festival, no Festival of Making, no Flower Festival, no Hive Business Awards. And I know what you're thinking, there was no Tez Elias tour. Don't worry, it'll be on in 2021. You can still buy tickets for it. There was not a lot going on for a long time. But you know what was going on? The exceptional people and businesses of Blackburn with Darwen. Now, despite the fact we didn't make it all to King George's Hall tonight, there's been no stopping the employees, businesses and business leaders who have shown true grit and determination to support the community across Blackburn with Darwen and beyond. And we feel that this deserves to be recognised in the absence of the actual Hive Business Awards. Hence these recognition awards. Because you guys have been great and you deserve to be recognised for it. So we are here, well I'm here, you're where you are, but we're here together to give recognition to all of you who have gone above and beyond during a national crisis and to show that during the darkest of days for Blackburn with Darwen, we truly have been in it together. We have, from Whalley Range to Roman Road and everywhere in between, we came together and we overcame. Now, wherever you are watching tonight's events, we hope you are well and we want to send you well wishes and thanks to all of the business and individuals we are recognising this evening. Hey, we're also running a competition for the best dress. Just because you're at home doesn't mean you don't have to make an effort. Put on your tuxes, put on your suits, put on your best frocks. That's just Danny Davis. I'm sure most of you can do better than he can. So make sure you're sending us pictures on social media using the hashtag HiveInItTogether. And we're going to announce the winner tomorrow. Now, before we all get started, I would like to introduce you all to Hive Chairperson Ian Brown to give you a warm welcome to this evening's event. I'll be here, you'll hear my voice all evening, but for now, it's Ian Brown. Over to you, good man.
Good evening. As Tez has said, we've moved from King George's Hall to our living rooms. But isn't it great to have a reason to get dressed up? The Hive Business Awards will be back in 2021 and we appreciate the understanding of all of our sponsors who have rolled over their commitment to next year's event. But this year calls for something a little different. 2020 has presented challenges to everyone and our community has risen to those challenges. We are all truly in this together. And it's our positivity that will get us through. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Our region has faced and met daunting challenges before, from world wars to industrial change and economic rise and fall. Blackburn with Darwen has always played a huge role in national difficulties. Once again, we find ourselves pulling together against a common foe. But what does this pulling together look like? Hive is delighted to have the opportunity to share some of the great work of our members within our community. The last 6 months has stimulated a new way of working, some of which I am sure will remain in the post-COVID world. Old partnerships have been strengthened while new ones created, but the one constant is our community's tireless commitment to help. Tonight, we acknowledge their efforts in the spirit of togetherness. Tonight's event is sponsored by our council. Let me now hand over to Denise Park, Chief Executive of Blackburn with Darwen Borough Council. Denise?
Thanks, Ian. Blackburn with Darwen Council is proud to support the Hive Recognition Awards. for those businesses that really have gone above and beyond during a time of national crisis. We know there are still significant challenges ahead, and for businesses, this is probably one of the worst times many of us can remember. Locally, our officers are working with our partners and with government to support you as much as we possibly can. As a council, we are endeavouring to support businesses and have paid out over £42 million in grants to date. However, I'm confident that if our businesses continue to respond in the way they have done so far, that we will get through this stronger as a borough and Blackburn with Darwen truly will recover. I'd now like to introduce the council leader, Councillor Mohammed Khan, CBE. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. The council is really proud of the way our community responded to the situation we find ourselves in due to the COVID-19. Tonight, we are recognizing some of the businesses and organizations that have gone behind their duty in recent months. It is measure of their strong community ethics that none of them did it for the public recognition, but were driven by our strong sense of community. I strongly believe that one of our greatest strengths is our partnership spirit, our ability to work together in good time and bad time. I'm now really proud of community, voluntary sectors, faith sector, and especially the businesses and organizations who have done outstanding work helping the people of this borough. So from myself, the council, and on behalf of the people of Blackburn Darwen, I would like to thank all the businesses and organizations here tonight for their support, for their dedication, for their kindness to us as a local authority, to National Health Services, and the people of Blackburn Darwen. And we are really proud of you, and I think you should be proud of yourself. This has been a unique time and one that will never be forgotten. And once again, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, all your support. I wish you all the best, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Ian and Mohammed. So, let's get started. First up, I would like to introduce you to Catherine Price, the Blackburn Town Centre Business Improvement District Manager, who will be outlining the invaluable support and advice some of the professional services located within Blackburn have provided to the business community.
Hi Catherine, great to see you. What motivated you to do the Q&A sessions?
So as Blackburn Bid Town Centre Manager, we had a delivery plan already in place for 2020, which had a huge range of projects, activities and events planned. When lockdown hit, that kind of hugely impacted on the plans that we had for delivery to support our town centre businesses during 2020. And so I was just really keen to see what do our businesses need, because to be brutally honest, for a short time I did wonder, what's my place? Do I have a job? How can I help the town centre and our bid businesses when we're looking at about 90% of our businesses having closed? So I was looking around for what are the ways that we can support our businesses, and was looking at examples of case studies where things have happened previously, chatting to yourself, chatting to the council about options, and then somewhere in the midst of all of that, the idea for holding a Q&A came up, but doing it in our format, which I think is quite unique, because how we did it was to do it as an online forum where you post your question, and then we have a panel of experts available to post an answer to you live and direct. And that's because when I've looked into how other places have delivered similar things to support their businesses, they've not had the same level of engagement. So, for example, if they've done it as a webinar, or they've had somebody on a Zoom conference or something similar to that, there's not been that much uptake from businesses. I think it's just been a bit of a barrier to getting involved with people, whereas it's dead easy for somebody to go on their iPad or their laptop or their phone and post a question and get an answer straight away. And so the engagement that we've had with the Q&A has been huge. So yeah, it was really just about how can we support our businesses, how can we make it as easy as possible, and how can we work with our amazing bid experts and Hive experts to support other businesses and find answers to burning questions.
Indeed, yes, a great initiative. How did you find the experts' engagement? Very positive.
Oh, hugely positive. Yeah, what I did was to put it out basically to our bid members that we were planning on doing this, and the Hive did the same, to say, is there anybody that could help? And I was just overwhelmed by the amount of businesses that put themselves forward to help, because they just were really keen to support their fellow businesses at a really difficult time, and provide their skills and knowledge and expertise if it meant that another business might get the benefit. So yeah, it was a hugely positive experience. It meant that I could engage with businesses that I'd perhaps not had an awful lot of engagement with to date, because it can be hard to engage with all sectors and all businesses. There's one of me. I have over 360 bid members, so that's a lot of businesses to engage with, but also some of the projects and initiatives that we deliver, they're primarily aimed at driving footfall to the town centre, and so professional services don't necessarily feel the benefit of that, so it can be hard to engage them and involve them in the bid. So this was a brilliant way for me to build those relationships, and to do that by supporting other bid businesses.
It's proven to be a great initiative, because I think it's fair to say that the success went out of the borough. Hasn't it been picked up by other groups?
Yes, so since the start of lockdown, I've been involved with a local bid manager network, and that's been about bid managers from across Lancashire and Yorkshire supporting one another, to share good practice, to share ideas, to ask questions, and to make sure that we're doing as much as we possibly can to support our bid members. And so, of course, I shared the details of what we've done with the Q&A, and other bids have looked to do similar things because it's been so well received.
And you obviously today plan to continue this in the immediate future?
Yes. With the announcement over the weekend that we've got new national restrictions coming in from this Thursday, obviously that brings with it lots of questions. There's still lots of clarification that we're awaiting, but the lockdown and the restrictions are slightly different this time. The financial support is different, and we're getting more information all the time. So we think that businesses will have lots of questions, and I've been inundated with lots of questions, quite rightly and understandably, this morning. So we're going to hold a Q&A later this week so we can help and support our businesses as much as possible.
Great. Obviously, the pandemic has given us all reason to rethink the way we work. Can you give us a positive that you've learnt out of the COVID, and how we've responded, which may even survive in a post-COVID world?
To be honest, there's quite a lot of positives, more so than I expected from it. I've completely changed how I'm delivering bid management and how I'm working as the result of the pandemic. So as I said, we had the bid delivery plan all set out and ready to go. And the key focus of the budget, of our priorities for the bid, is events. So it's really hard when that becomes the thing that you absolutely cannot do, when that's kind of the backbone of what you deliver to support businesses. So I have completely revised my work plan so that it's primarily focused on what do our businesses need and how can I support them. That's been a lot about providing information and communication, and throughout lockdown and since, I've been doing at least daily email updates. They've been shared across our digital platforms. I've been doing video updates on what's going on, and I've received a lot of positive feedback about just helping businesses navigate through a lot of complicated information. It's been described as a minefield, and so just being able to kind of simplify it as best I can and get it out there so that they've got the most relevant key information to them. And then if there's still anything they're unsure about, I'm happy to take that away and look into it and get back to businesses with an answer. So that's been really good, and that level of engagement and supporting with communication and just information that is helpful to businesses is something that I will continue to do throughout the rest of the bid term, because it's clearly very valuable. But then also, just a secondary to that is the benefit of digital engagement and learning what you can do and making the most of that. So we delivered Paint the Town at Home digitally, working with the Bureau, and that was so successful. And the engagement that we had, we still kept the link with the town centre because we were asking artists to capture Blackburn Town Centre and its people over the course of one day, but from the safety of their own homes. But the benefit to those people for engaging with that competition for the day can't be underestimated. Then we had all of the engagement online with people seeing that an event still take place, but that still engaged them with the town centre. We were doing tutorials, and it was a lot of learning that we could see that there's still an awful lot that you can do, and that we can learn from that, and we can grow with it, and we can take that into future events so that they can be even bigger and better for the future. So yeah, it's fair to say that the big positive has been there's been a lot of learning and adapting, which can only be to the benefit of the bid and our businesses.
Many thanks, Catherine. A wonderful initiative, a great way to show some of the wonderful work that's been going on in Blackburn with Darwen in the last few months. Keep it up. Tez, back to you.
Thank you, Catherine. Please join me in a huge virtual round of applause. Yay! Next up, I would like to introduce you to Miranda Barker, Chief Executive of the East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce, who would like to recognise a huge group of people who have played a crucial role in the borough's partnership response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Voluntary, Community and Faith Sector, VCFS.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be joining you this evening. At the end of March 2020, the Community Support Unit set up the Blackburn with Darwen VCFS Crisis Response Food Group to pool the resources and ensure an effective and efficient response to charitable food distribution as a full partner in the developing Blackburn with Darwen Help Hub. Collectively, the Food Crisis Response Group have delivered over 36,000 hot meals and 25,800 food parcels to people in need within Blackburn with Darwen. This does not even include the food parcels that were delivered through the Blackburn with Darwen Help Hub and small community organisations. They have had a great deal of help from volunteers and were able to offer support to service users within other areas, including digital support, online groups, mental health support for young people, creative packages, wellbeing calls and pharmacy collections. Please join me in thanking the VCFS and their partners, some of which you will see on the screen now. A huge thank you and well done to Tahidal Islamic Girls High School. West Home School, MTI Community Care, the Community and Business Partners, Inter Madrasa Organisation, Health Living, Blackburn Food Bank, Blackburn Youth Zone, and Youth Action. Congratulations and well done for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Miranda. Amazing work by an inspirational group of people, I'm sure you will agree. Next up, I want to go back over to Ian Brown, who recently met up with Patrick Grant, founder of Community Clothing, to hear all about the exceptional way they have helped during the pandemic.
Patrick, great to have you on board with us this evening as our adopted son of Blackburn with Darwen. Obviously, everybody will know Community Clothing and as a great purveyor of fashion garments. But February this year we had COVID knocking on the door, which introduced other fashion items such as face masks and gowns. Just tell us a little bit about your involvement with these new products.
Well, yeah, thanks, Ian. We, I mean, in a funny way, COVID was difficult for a lot of our businesses. We have a few businesses in the group, but we have two businesses based in Blackburn. Community Clothing obviously is the customer-facing brand that we have, and we make and sell clothes, and by doing that, we give work to textile factories that keeps them busy and keeps jobs alive, and hopefully creates more jobs. And then we also have a business here called Cookson and Clegg, which is where I'm sitting today. And we manufacture textile products. We're a long-standing Blackburn business. We've been here since 1860. We started off as leather couriers and boot upper manufacturers. We made mill straps and other things. And over the years, that business has transformed itself. We started in boot uppers. We moved into military clothing in the middle of last century. We made military clothing for a long, long time. And then we finally, when military clothing production all went overseas, we shifted again into making very high quality clothing for British designer brands. But as of February this year, all of that came to a grinding halt, but something new came up, and that was PPE. And very, very quickly, Cookson and Clegg, again using a lot of the network that it had built up over the time of being a military manufacturer, got involved with making gowns, scrubs, face masks, face coverings of various different types, and that has been, to be honest, it saved the business. At the time, we were staring down the barrel of a pretty traumatic interruption to our business, and it kept the lights on. But more than that, it gave us an opportunity for everybody in the business to feel part of a positive effort to get this country through this awful pandemic. And I think as a business, we have made well over 1 million pieces of PPE since the start of March, of various different types. We're still making it now. We're producing reusable face coverings. We've made antiviral snuds for a company called Virostatic, lots and lots of those, which were one of the earliest antiviral products onto the market. We made disposable face masks. We've made disposable gowns, reusable gowns. We're still working with Blackburn Hospital Trust on new versions of reusable gowns for non-surgical and for surgical applications. We're looking at technology that will turn what were disposable gowns into reusable gowns, with some really exciting innovation that we're working on there. And we made an awful lot of pairs of scrubs for a company based down the road in Preston, who normally do most of their manufacturing overseas. So it's been an extraordinary year. And also personally, I've been involved with a really big program called the Big Community Sew, which was all about encouraging people with sewing machines all across the country to get involved on a voluntary basis and sew face coverings for friends, neighbours, family members, and anyone who wasn't able to either buy them themselves or make them themselves. And again, we've had extraordinary support. We worked with Blackburn Rovers. They funded mask production by volunteers for the whole of the Blackburn region, we worked with the Youth Zone, we worked with Heritage Envelopes, we worked with volunteer riders. There's been this fantastic year of volunteering that we've been part of, and not only has it been incredibly important and well received by those people that have been receiving the manufactured face coverings and scrubs and all the rest of it that volunteers have made. It's also been an incredibly positive thing for those people that have been making it. I mean, obviously many people were isolated during the first lockdown. Many of them have had their normal support networks taken away from them. And I think being part of groups of volunteers brought enormous mental health and physical health benefits to those people involved. It made new friends, it brought communities together. It was an amazing thing. So yeah, it's been a very busy year, and one that I'm incredibly proud of, both on my own part and on the part of everyone that works here.
Quite rightly. Great work from you and the team. Great example, as you say, of people coming together in an hour of need and working positively. Just in reflection, what are your takeaways from this challenging year?
Well, I think one of the things that strikes me most about the response that we've had through community clothing, response from customers to what we're doing, is that there is a very clear and growing feeling that we all have a much greater responsibility towards the restoration of economic prosperity in towns and cities across the UK that were big manufacturing hubs and where manufacturing has declined to a certain extent. And it's been very clear to me, you know, if you look at a map of the areas of greatest deprivation in this country, you then overlay a map of the areas that are hit hardest by COVID-19, there is an absolutely perfect correlation between those. You know, all the towns, Blackburn, Bury, Rochdale, Leicester, Leeds, all textile towns, all with local lockdowns, all the places that were tier 3, Lancashire, Liverpool, Greater Manchester, South Yorkshire, all manufacturing areas, particularly also big textile areas. And I think we're seeing from people across the country a growing desire to support local industry. And one of the things that Brexit should be bringing this country is a restoration of local manufacturing where it's possible. And what has been clear to me, certainly, and to a lot of others, is that throughout this pandemic, manufacturers in the UK have stepped up in an extraordinary way. Some of them have done it to great benefit. Some of them, have found that, the programs that they were working on have not borne the positive outcomes that they should have done. And I think we all, at the beginning, I was very hopeful that this pandemic would create conditions where there was a large swing back towards local manufacturing. I think manufacturers have proven advanced manufacturing can compete with imported goods. And I think there are strong arguments for doing it, for resilience points of view, from local economic prosperity points of view. And when you think about the amount of money that has been spent on PPE nationally, if all of that money had gone into the UK economy, it would have made an extraordinary difference to a huge number of people's lives. And I think for me, if one thing can happen from this, it's that we get behind local manufacturing again, and we realise that whilst it might be slightly cheaper to buy a disposable product from China, if you can buy one locally, all of that money multiplies. There's very well documented economic evidence to support. There's evidence to support the theory that you spend money locally, it gets multiplied and multiplied and multiplied again. And spending money on buying things from overseas, might be on day one the cheapest thing to do, but the total economic value created by local spending, as I think Preston have proven, it's enormously powerful as an economic regenerator. And I think I really hope that this government and the next will realise that is an opportunity to make things better for a lot of people.
Yeah, you make a very good point. When you need a product turning around so quickly, you can't deal remotely with countries thousands of miles away. And what you've done is just how flexible manufacture is here in the Northwest. So well done again. On behalf of everybody, I'm sure, tuned in this evening, we'd all like to offer our thanks for what you've done in supplying that valuable PPE. So many thanks, Patrick. Back to Tez.
Thank you, Patrick, and all of your team for your hard work and dedication. And I'm not just saying that because I have a community clothing jacket. Genuinely big up you guys. So let's take a look at another one of our nominated businesses, the Darwen-based engineering and fabrication company, WEC Group, who repurposed some of their manufacturing facilities to help the fight against the virus. To introduce them and explain more, please welcome Michael Hill, Chair of the Hive Manufacturing Excellence Group and Managing Director of Optima Control Solutions Limited. Over to you.
Good evening. The WEC Group team successfully engaged with the Ventilator Challenge UK Consortium, which was tasked with producing 10,000 ventilators for the NHS on a tight time frame. As key workers, the highly skilled engineers worked tirelessly to manufacture the first batch of prototype parts within just 24 hours. WEC subsequently went on to produce 20,000 fabricated assemblies for ventilator trolleys, as well as 8,000 precision machined components for the Penland ventilators, working around the clock to meet a hugely ambitious time frame. WEC also manufactured key medical equipment for the new Nightingale hospitals being built across the country, as well as designing and developing a new range of foot-operated hand sanitizer dispensers to help businesses nationwide keep the workforces safe and assist with the country's back-to-work effort. And if that wasn't enough, they've even designed and manufactured a memorial bench for Darwen Council, commemorating all the lives lost to this deadly virus and thanking all key workers and NHS heroes for their outstanding contribution.
Thank you, Michael. Another inspirational story of how Blackburn with Darwen have been in it together. Next up, I would like to introduce you to Ken Shackleton, Managing Director of the Cardboard Box Company, who will tell us a little bit more about the support they have provided for local initiatives throughout the community.
Hi Ken. Everybody watching tonight, of course, will be very familiar with the Cardboard Box Company, I'm sure. But just take us back to March and how COVID has affected your business.
It's been a very weird situation. I mean, not just for the community, nationally, internationally. And what we would have expected, what we thought would happen at the Cardboard Box Company, especially just after March running into April, where we had 33 of our local customers, manufacturing customers, went into lockdown. And of course, when that happened, it's like pretty damn drastic and you wonder where it's going. But alongside that, ironically, and I can't take responsibility for this really as such, the previous year we'd allowed ourselves to get drawn into e-commerce packaging. And we just had a second-hand machine that had been idle, I think, in the group for a number of years. And we said, yeah, we'll take it like we always do. We'll always be the ones to try and do something with it, be a bit innovative or whatever. And ironically, that has been the saviour for the business, because we have the local businesses which have been closed down for 1, 2, 3 months, and how that's affected the overall numbers. As you can imagine, the sale of e-commerce products and the more and more people who are going into e-commerce has been ridiculous. So if I look year on year, Cardboard Box Company are over 10% up, which is excellent. At this particular moment in time is off scale, isn't it, really, with what's going on in the rest?
Yeah.
Having said that, that's where our business has been from commercial. A lot of that has come, as you can imagine, from the group that acquired us in June 2018, the Logson Group, because we're accessing customers of theirs. Because now we can offer something that the group couldn't offer previously, which is all good stuff. And it's absolutely fantastic, because this year we're probably we've gone from around 100 employees to 120 at this moment. Just
Wonderful.
that is absolutely great. But at the same time, as we always do, as you're aware, we always get involved in various charitable things. If we look at the Festival of Making, look at the Youth Zone, we've got the Hospice, East Lancashire Hospice. It's been a very, very, very weird year in that respect, because, you know, as a business, you're going on and you're there to be successful as a business, and then there's like the Youth Zone, and then everything sort of closes down again. It's not just maybe businesses. I mean, you look at the schools, there was such a lot of hospitality had taken an absolute hammering. As a result, the request from charities has been off scale. And if we look at and I remember this was a recommendation from yourself in terms of Blackburn Food Bank, and some boxes we supplied into there, we were getting requests from all local areas asking for food boxes, and you think, how many food boxes are needed? How many people need these things? And you know, Blackburn Council, we work with Blackburn Council, and we supplied them, and we didn't give them, so don't get me wrong, but we supplied them with 30,000 boxes, 30,000 food boxes. That's just incredible. Especially when you think of all the charities on the back, the few hundred going there, a few hundred there, 1,000 here, and several, all these others. And that really it's a little bit eye-watering, really. Because when you talk to the charities and you talk to the people who are trying to help in so many different ways, you feel belittled, really. It's almost you're in a different world being promoting in your business world, and then there's all this deprivation that's going on locally, not just in Blackburn with Darwen, but the immediate East Lancashire areas.
I remember the call for help. There was a challenge to get food parcels out to a very vulnerable, though shielding, a very vulnerable sector of our community. And a process of bringing a new customer in, commissioning a box, getting that box through the production stage and delivery would obviously normally take many months, but great credit to you and the team that what would normally take months, you did in a matter of days. But I know that's not all you've done. I know you're working very closely with the Youth Zone. Just tell us some of the things you've done there.
Obviously, when you look at the Youth Zone, I mean, they've sent out lots of meals out into the community, but one of the ones that they did was the Mother's Day box, the Zone from Home, Zone to Home, sorry. It was just, I mean, you're supplying a box, you're supplying something that somebody can use for a valuable exercise, but you're also promoting the charities, you know, and there's been lots of different little initiatives with the Youth Zone, whether it's cardboard toys, just the cardboard boxes for food, and just helping away. The Youth Action was another one that in Blackburn that we helped there. There was food boxes going there, but that wasn't the main reason. The main reason was to get some boxes together so they could put pieces of art and graphics and paper and just send out to the kids, because the kids weren't at school and they weren't engaging in anything educational, and that's something we got involved in. And then there was the other thing from the Festival of Making with Lauren, and she came up with this idea of these, which I thought Lauren was losing it a little bit. I said, "Are you really are you sure this is going to work?" And she wanted some cardboard boxes that converted into desks, and as they undid the whole package, and then there was it had its own little legs inside that were all made from cardboard, and And there were hundreds and hundreds of these things that were gone. They were in the museum, and other people were saying, "Look, can we have some of these? Can we do what?" And it's like, whoa, just you can't believe the need that's just around. But from Cardboard Box's perspective, you start something, you become part of it. You can't walk away from it because you're beholden to it emotionally from your heart as much as anything else. Because we're local people, you know, Blackburn, Darwen, Accrington, East Lancashire.
Yeah, and it's a great credit to you and the team. You've a very strong sense of place, and clearly Blackburn with Darwen is your home, and you want to help those that need that little bit of help in our town. Ken, many thanks for all the work that you've done, whether that's been, as I say, supplying those valuable cardboard boxes, or the huge support that I know you give the Youth Zone. So, on behalf of everybody here in the town, thanks for all you've done. Tez, back to you.
Thank you, Ian and Ken. Now, we received another inspirational nomination for the Unit 2 Fitness for Women and the Billy Project. To tell you more, I would like to hand you over to Danny Davis, Business Development Manager at Blackburn Rovers and a very good mate of mine. Over to you, Dan.
Hi all, I hope you're enjoying the event so far. I'm delighted to tell you more about Unit 2 Fitness for Women nomination. When lockdown happened, Unit 2 and the Billy Project worked together to save the gym family, which had already been created to help other women during this time of national crisis. They moved all of their existing gym clients onto an online Facebook group and WhatsApp group for those who didn't have Facebook. Each and every day they communicated with their clients, set daily and weekly fitness challenges, shared thoughts and feelings, motivated each other, Zoom boot camps, quizzes, meal prep, and more. This group was a lifeline for over 90 women during the 6-month lockdown. May I add, they also did all of this for free. They didn't stop when lockdown was lifted. They met up in small groups to exercise, drop off food, and also set up a phone call service for those who needed someone to talk to over the phone. During this time, they also fought tirelessly to get the gym reopened on the 2nd of September. Now I know there's loads of different sanctions to put in place for that, but they did it. I'm sure all of the ladies involved have benefited from this initiative and would join us in thanking and recognising all of their hard work. But it doesn't stop there. We've also received the nomination from the Unit 2 team themselves, as they wanted to say a special thank you to a local mum and owner of Bees and Birds, Melissa McFarlane, who set up the Boredom Corner on Shorrock Lane to help those who were struggling with boredom. Mel provided the community of Mill Hill with books, puzzles, games, etc. The idea quickly snowballed and the whole community, not just Mill Hill, came together, borrowing and donating Mel's boxes. Mel's boxes of wet items quickly became upgraded to a small community library. As well as the Boredom Corner, Mel distributed food and sanitary items to those in need, all whilst running online quizzes. It is clear the community feel Mel is a wonderful, caring person who regularly puts people before herself and wanted to give her the recognition she deserves. So a huge well done. And thank you, Mel. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Another business we would like to recognise is Star Tissue. Please join me welcoming Managing Director Khalid Saifullah, MBE, DL, and Ian Brown to tell you all about the hard work Star Tissue have contributed during the pandemic.
Hi Khalid, welcome to this evening's event. As a tissue manufacturer, 2020 must have been a very busy year. How's it been for Star Tissue?
2020 started off as a good year. Obviously we had some big plans in terms of new investment and new infrastructure which we'd planned to put in place in 2018. Then obviously, as you all know, we had the panic buying situation in early March, April time. That wasn't really good for us in the sense we were pretty full as a company. We had a lot of people chasing for material. But the big impact on us, obviously, with COVID was when the shutdown took place. All the hospitality, leisure, food, everything was quiet, offices. And that's a large part of our business. So although a lot of people think, yes, we'll be doing extremely well in this instance, we were in some parts of our business, particularly in the healthcare and the medical sectors. But generally, a large part of our business is servicing the hospitality, leisure, tourism, food sector, obviously, which was really badly hit.
So take us back to March. What have you done since then to meet the challenges presented to your business?
We've prodded along with our existing plan, Ian. There's a lot of things happening, but we've got a clear vision as to where we want to go as a company. Those plans were in place. We had a bit of disruption with the building project, obviously due to people not being able to work, but all in all, we had good support, and the suppliers and the contractors did the work more or less, on time. So really, we continued with the installation of the new machine, which is now in place. So we recognized we needed to build our capacity. We needed to be able to service our customers and communicate with them a lot more often because of the volatility and instability. Because, at one point we had customers chasing up for goods and then next minute cancelling orders because they will not be open or their customers wouldn't be open. So it was, targeting them and talking to them on a regular basis. So we stopped selling as a company and we spent time servicing and talking to customers rather than just, selling. So it was about working with them. Obviously, we've had to work with them on a number of factors. One is to streamline their product range to ensure that it meets their requirements in the new post-COVID world, but also obviously, putting in payment plans for some customers purely because of the interruption that they've had, and also changing their service requirements. So, where they would order large truckloads, we allowed them to order smaller amounts because obviously they didn't need as much because their customers didn't need as much. But really, it was about engaging and working. So we not only became a supplier, I think we also provided, became a partner and provided support to a lot of businesses because, this is the time when it's important, we recognize they need us, we also need them, and we need to get through this together. At the end of it, they'll have a good supplier and we would have a loyal customer.
Great. As a major manufacturer, COVID must have presented some huge challenges on the shop floor, never mind the installation of machinery as well. You must have had to put some new practices in place.
Yeah, no, it was very difficult, very challenging, as you said. We're putting in, we built 2 new warehouses, so we had interruption on goods in and goods out and storage. We were, marking the floor out for the machine's arrival, and then we were marking it out for the social distancing measures. And then obviously we've had people off sick, people not being able to, or isolating, or unsure as to whether they should be coming to work or not coming to work. So we had that interruption. Obviously, and probably there's many businesses will probably share this experience because, but I think what stands out in a period like this is how robust your management structure is and how robust your teams are. Because, for having to make these regular changes and staying in regular touch with your staff as well, keeping them informed as to what the rules mean and what they should do, what they shouldn't be doing, and how best to work, and enforcing new ways of working. It's all about having, clear communication with them and talking with them. So it was, the management were focused very much on the staff, the sales were very much focused on existing customers. So, we were doing a lot more talking, but as you say, we're talking now at a distance, at a distance. Meetings were taking place at a distance. So on a positive note, we spent less time traveling to meetings, and we had more time available. And that time obviously was spent on the shop floor, engaging staff and getting them to understand where we're going.
And of course, your product is right at the front line in terms of the battle against COVID. Because it's a PPE provision, is there anything else you've had to change in your products or in the selling this year to meet the new challenges?
Yes, obviously, one of the things we did, we obviously we recognized the customers in some areas, their sales had dropped. So we did some, we worked in partnership with other suppliers, other manufacturers to supply additional PPE. So we did supply a large number of face masks for 2 reasons. One, obviously, to help our suppliers sell something, keep their sales ticking, get some money in as well. So we offered it really out as at a cost price. It wasn't really to generate any money. We didn't want to profit out of it. We just wanted to be able to supply them with something that they can continue to sell and keep their revenue going, so they've still got some income coming in to pay their bills. Equally for us as well, it helped us, bridge some of the sales gaps that we had. We also obviously worked with on dispensers and on the sanitization. We didn't sell any of that, but we did do a lot of referral work to help some of our customers, get in touch with companies that could. But other than that, really, we had to create generally a safer environment for the staff and how they operated. So we obviously had to do a lot of cleaning down. We didn't get the productivity, but like I said, we didn't need it because as a business, we were probably during the summer period down by 40% in sales. So our productivity was low, but it allowed us to operate in this new environment, because obviously we couldn't operate like we were used to operating. So we had, a lot of downtime where we were just, cleaning things up and cleaning machines up, ready for the new shift. And, obviously working with less people as well. But we do, in terms of product development, Ian, in terms of what we're looking at, we have recognized that. So we've been working on some certain materials. So we've launched a new sort of a product range called Sirius Advanced, which is aimed at, more focused on protection and safer environments. So obviously we know people are cleaning things down a little bit more. So we've been trialing stuff around antibacterial, wipe down. So we're implementing that in the tissue side of stuff. So we are doing some product development work. Hopefully we'll be launching some new products on the back of that. So there has been obviously some opportunities in that area where obviously we need to innovate as a company to see, what the customer in the post-COVID environment would want and what they would need and what the demand, what the demand will be.
Great. Obviously, COVID's presented huge challenges through the year. Can you give us some examples of maybe the positive learnings that have come out of this year?
Absolutely. One is obviously technology. We've, luckily for us, last year we implemented a cloud plan. So we put all our software on the cloud. We implemented an ERP system a couple of years ago. So that again was available on cloud, on Microsoft 365. So we transferred everything on cloud and even including our telephone lines. That worked very well because it allowed most of our staff who could work from home, able to work from home. They had the technology to do so. And I think that's something we'll probably continue because, staff are working quite well at home. So allows us to be more as a flexible employer in that sense. I think generally in terms of working in teams, because obviously we've had to put a lot of new procedures in place. I think that's allowed us to focus on team development in production teams at a smaller level and getting them to work together much better. It allowed us to, obviously, things were highlighted to us that wouldn't have been highlighted to us if it wasn't for COVID, where we've had to, dig deeper in there. And that's, given us information about how we were doing things previously to how we should be doing things. So we think there's a large part of improvement. So we put in a massive training development plan in there, as well as incentives for teams to develop and operate in that area. I think obviously generally meetings, I think it's a lot easier to meet sometimes on video conferencing if it's just general information. Obviously it doesn't take away the personal touch that is required, but I think that will, we'll probably focus on reducing the amount of visits. For example, probably do regular in-touch meetings on Zoom. So there's no doubt travel will be reduced. I think generally we'd be looking at new ways to do things. And fortunately for us, a lot of the plans that we put in place previously have been, coincidentally quite timely with COVID, because it's increased our capacity as a business by 30%. So that would allow us to meet the new demand, because once the lockdown was over, the demand was shot up. We're still trying to keep up with orders, because as people can see, in B&Q, all the trolleys are being wiped down, all the gym equipment's being wiped down, so the usage has gone through the roof. So we expect that after this new lockdown to continue, because people will just be using the materials a lot more. But we're well placed to provide that service made in the UK. So that would really help us. And I think generally, going forward, these are the things that will help us develop, because we're more nimble as a company now, because the new production line allows us to do different things. It's very advanced, and we're already talking about doing things with that, with products that we weren't thinking of doing previously.
Sounds like the future for Star Tissue is very positive indeed, which of course is great for the town. So well done to you and the team. Tez, back to you.
Thank you, Khalid. Now, on to an organisation that has been nominated several times, the Blackburn Youth Zone. Speaking to Ian Brown, we have Head of Operations, Leon Crosby.
Hi Leon. Most people will be very familiar with the great work that goes on down at the Youth Zone in normal times. Obviously this year's been far from normal. Just explain some of the things you've had to change in order to still give that great provision for our young people.
Everything has pretty much had to change at the start of the pandemic because of school closures and because everything changed and young people's needs increased. And just to give us some context to that, actually, there's a recent survey to say that of 1 million young people living in vulnerabilities prior to COVID, and they suspect that that number is going to triple. So what we've found is that there is emerging need where young people are, in some cases, in crisis, whether that be mental health, isolation. There's a thing called the toxic trio, and that's young people living at home with domestic abuse, neglect, or substance misuse. So young people's needs have massively increased, and that means as a service like ourselves, we have to adapt and make sure that we can support young people in the best way we can.
Example of some of the events that I know you've been running and how you've been running them over the last few months.
So when lockdown first came, actually the youth sector wasn't regarded as essential service, and what that meant is we couldn't deliver on site, so we had to be extremely creative. So we had pretty much 3 service outputs. One of those was food. With schools closing, there's around 3,000 young people that receive free school meals. So we adapted our services. Young people without any referral form could come and receive a meal as well as their family. So over the course of the 3 months, we give out 11,000 different meals. And actually those meals weren't food parcels or tokens, they were ready to eat meals, with then the understanding that young people are actually eating and being fed. In addition to that, we went through a process of converting face-to-face youth work to digital youth work. So it's providing young people basically an online forum where they connect positively with their peers, where they can meet a trusted adult and a youth worker or a play worker and engage in activities. So we had 14 sessions per week over 7 days provision, up to about 40 hours of digital activity, and engaging anything up to about 200 young people per week online.
Wonderful. Do you have any examples of feedback that you've had from those young people in terms of the benefit that you've provided?
A lot of our young people naturally come from deprived backgrounds. Just to give some context to that, 37% of our membership comes from the top most deprived areas in Blackburn with Darwen. So there's already a concerning need there. Some stories, some young people have used it as a way of just keeping connected. We also provided a vulnerable support line, and there was a particular story, and I won't give names, where a young person who is in independent living, 17-year-old girl, had been receiving support from a youth worker. The youth worker received a text, and it was basically a picture of a tram line, and she said, "I can't cope." Obviously, the youth worker responded, offered that level of support, giving that reassurance, and actually that young person is now in supported living and is still engaging with our services, with a targeted worker who supports getting her through this process, because there are still concerns. Other young people simply just use it as a way of having fun. There's a particular young person whose mum was shielding, and because of that, she didn't want to go out. Now, this young person is only 8 years old, and so to have school removed and to say that you've got to stay indoors, but just to ensure that your mum stays fit and well, is quite daunting for a young person to process. They couldn't necessarily process what COVID was. And again, she came to every single session that she could, whether that's online drama, theatre, gaming, Minecraft, arts, and that was pretty much a a lifesaver for that particular young person who simply wouldn't have engaged or socialised with anyone else without that service.
Sure. I mean, when you hear stories like that, it really does bring it home, the great value that the youth zone is providing, in normal times as well as these challenging ones. Looking to the immediate future, what are your plans on the run up to Christmas?
So again, one of the successes as we went through lockdown 1, actually the youth sector received essential status, which meant actually we can continue to operate on site, which while digital support is really good, actually the core principles of youth work is connecting with young people face to face and building that relationship. So that was one massive win for the sector. As we progress up until Christmas, we have about around 40 hours of vulnerable support on site where a young person can come in for a one-to-one. We offer a triage of support, which basically means that young people can come in and regardless of their need, we've got specialist staff around substance misuse, health and wellbeing, employability, where they can be signposted to that targeted service. And then additionally, the universal activity, digital activity programme has picked up again because some young people don't fit the criteria of vulnerable. However, we still recognise the need and the importance of engaging those particular young people in positive activity.
Absolutely. On behalf of everybody in Blackburn with Darwen, we appreciate the great efforts and the work that the Youth Zone team has done this year. You're invaluable. You're a big part of the provision for our young citizens in the town, so keep it up and well done. Many thanks. Back to Tez.
Thank you. What a truly inspirational group of people, I'm sure you will agree. Now, over to Cara Rose, owner of PR and marketing agency KRPR, to tell us all about another nominated business and all their efforts in helping victims who have fled extremely difficult circumstances during the pandemic. The Wish Centre.
Good evening everyone, I hope you're keeping safe and well. I'm truly delighted to tell you more about this next nomination, as I'm sure you'll agree their work is invaluable. The Refuge staff team at the Wish Centre provide an integral but very distinctive residential part of the overall service to support victims fleeing from domestic and violent abuse. The Wish Centre team showed exceptional efforts to adapt what they provide women and their children during the 2020 COVID health crisis. They've kept the service going and protected survivors of abuse coming here to Blackburn from all over the country under exceptional and very difficult circumstances. Each year they provide a safe home for over 140 women and children fleeing violence and abuse. Their 2 residences in Blackburn provide a safe roof overhead and the chance for the women and their children to make a fresh start with them here and to rebuild their lives, often after years of abuse. This requires very warm, personalised and emotionally supportive care from the team, who are on hand 7 days a week. COVID and the restrictions on personal contact, social distancing and protection for staff and the victims against the life-threatening health risks have really made this difficult for the Refuge team. But they've done it. They've overcome all the initial fears and anxieties, especially in the early days. Children and mums have been kept safe, supported, and their Refuge team has been there for them throughout. In fact, the team has come together even more now through this adversity, and as Lynette, their Refuge manager, says, no matter what's thrown at us, we'll find a solution.
Thank you, Cara, and thank you, the Wish Centre. I would now like to introduce another amazing business who have worked during the pandemic, Herbert Parkinson. To hear more, please welcome Ian Brown and Tracy Alcock, plant manager at Herbert Parkinson.
Hi Tracy. A lot of people will know Herbert Parkinson, obviously as part of the John Lewis Partnership, as you make blinds, or at least that was back in January. Just tell us what's happened since then as a result of COVID.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, so I joined the partnership on the 2nd of March and was well into understanding what the business does. So we absolutely make curtains, blinds, fill duvets and pillows and cushions. And in week 3, like everybody, was impacted by COVID-19. Interestingly, over the few weeks before we moved over into another manufacturer, we had numbers of partners asking us if we were able to do something to help the NHS.
Which one? Which two?
Different things. We looked at face masks, we looked at snuds, and we'd also looked at NHS gowns before, and we hadn't been able to adapt. Pleasingly, working with Northumbrian Health Authority and Sarah Rose, we were able to come up with a solution, and from the end of April we were able to start producing gowns for the NHS. which was absolutely fabulous, especially for myself, brand new to the partnership.
Absolutely.
Able to see what partners could do in that short space of time with their skills and the machinery was pretty phenomenal for me, for someone who's not from the business.
And obviously back in those days, I mean, that's PPE, an essential PPE back then. So it was not just a nice to have, but a must have product as well for us. So well done on that. I mean, you've talked very briefly, but it must have been quite difficult to change an entire manufacturing process. You're fundamentally changing the product there. How did you go about that?
Yeah, and I think that for me, that was the big thing. So again, new to the partnership, looking at the skills, and I was thinking, how are we going to change this? But we worked very closely with our continuous improvement team, which was great to start embedding that way of working into the site, which was something we'd wanted to do as part of our strategic focus. We contacted partners and they were literally chomping at the bit to get through back the door to help us out. We worked closely with our technical manager and with specs and product innovation and fabrics, and we worked with the teams and asked their opinions on how we could produce this process. And there was a few prototypes produced. There were last minute changes to prototypes and gold seals, but everybody had an input in making it work and setting up that line. And that had a massive impact on, once we got up and running, the engagement around it and the output from it. You know, if you own that process and have come up with that idea and that tweak, the numbers you can get through the floor then are pretty phenomenal. So we had 15 partners working the line, and they were producing circa 2,000 gowns a week. So once we got up to that volume, and over a 2-month period, we managed to produce 12,000. Initially, we were sending them to the Northumbrian Health Authority. One week, we actually reached out to our local Blackburn hospital and said, could we send some direct there? And that was quite a heartfelt moment. I mean, it was emotional producing the gowns anyway. But once we went to the local hospital as well, and I still clearly see a video now that we had shared with us afterwards, where our head of branch, Stuart MacDonald, and one of our partners, Maria, went to deliver these gowns in the car park near all the ambulance bays, and the nurses and doctors came out, and one of them was Maria's daughter. So it brought it even closer to home. And there's one thing that stands out, and I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying it. They said thank you, and then Maria shouted to them, now go and save lives.
Yeah.
And that, I'm well enough as I'm saying it, that really touched us. And off the back of that, the nurses put the gowns on and sent us some lovely little TikTok videos of wearing the gowns, and it really made it very human, and we're all in it together. And I think that additional touch of being able to go that week with that number of gowns locally probably made it hit home a bit more for us all.
It's a great example of teamwork and getting behind a challenging project. The people working on this project must be incredibly proud of what they've achieved.
Yeah, they were. It was interesting because a lot of partners wanted to come in on site and support and be able to produce more, but because the schools were closed and the childcare issues of not being able to send our families to grandparents and childcare sources, you could feel the frustration in them when we had our catch-ups with them to check they were okay and the families were safe, that they wanted to be part of it as well.
Yeah, no, a great story. And are you still making the gowns today, are you? Is it still in production?
We're not now. As the partnership reopened, we were approached to make face coverings for our partners primarily, and then for sale through customers, where all the proceeds would go to charity. So we dual ran for a short while gowns and partnership face coverings. And then the volume started to dwindle quite substantially as we introduced our 7-day online service again. So we moved into partnership face coverings and face coverings for sale for general public.
And the all-important curtains. You're back making curtains and blinds, I hope.
Yes, yeah, our online offer was switched back on, and then obviously the store's back opened, and we are rammed. But it is lovely to reflect on the gowns and the face coverings, and to know that actually working with CI and getting teams involved, we can absolutely flex. If our machinery can be adapted, our partners are absolutely willing to do anything, especially in such a pandemic that we find ourselves in. You know, we're all living it together.
2020 has been a challenging year, and we've heard the challenges that you face going through it. What learnings have you taken out of it?
Simply to be kind. Yeah, I think we've all realised what's important, and actually to push ourselves and look outside the box. You know, historically we would have just been looking at producing a curtain if we're talking in a business sense, but actually understanding what our machineries can do, what our partners can do, and really staying close to one another. And really, if anything, in a business sense, it's taught us there's a lot of talent on site, there's a lot of talent in the community. You know, when we were making the gowns, a lady in the community reached out to us and made us some handmade cards to pop in the packaging. She wanted to get involved and work with us. On a personal sense, just to be kind and, you know, to really watch out for each other in terms of mental health. That has really, really shone out. You know, we've got partners and people in the community who live on their own, work in different hours has an impact on us, on our lives and our mental health. So just to stay close to one another.
Many thanks, Tracy. Keep up the good work. You're all a great credit to yourselves, the business and our town. Thank you.
A huge well done to Tracy and the team for all of your efforts. On to a nominated individual now, so I'll pass you over to Philip Ainsworth, Director of Ainsworth Jewellers, who will tell you all about a nomination for an incredibly caring individual who has dedicated tireless hours to the young people of Blackburn, Ian Harmer, the Commanding Officer of Blackburn Sea Cadets.
Ian, the team, the Blackburn Sea Cadets, wanted to nominate and recognise you for your involvement in the unit for an impressive 45 years and for all your selfless efforts during the pandemic. Throughout COVID, the unit has been forced to close, as have many other charities. However, Ian has spearheaded a virtual training campaign so that the cadets have been able to attend, and many achieved qualifications, including the Royal Yacht Association navigation qualifications. Another project Ian has championed is the Chocolate Orange Collection, where the unit gathers chocolate oranges to take around to emergency service workers as a token of their appreciation. To sum up just how selfless Ian is, he has done all this while working as a carer for people with disabilities in a home. He has continued to do this under tremendous pressure due to COVID, and yet he has not let this affect his commitment to the young people and the borough. Congratulations, Ian, for all your efforts and commitment to the many young people you have positively impacted over the years. And on behalf of the Sea Cadets and the community, a huge well done and thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Next, I would like to introduce Lisa Kennery, Director at PSCA, who recently discussed their efforts with Ian Brown.
Hi Lisa, welcome to the event. We've already spoken to Catherine and the great work that you've done as part of the bid Q&A sessions, but I understand you've been involved in other things as well. Just tell us a little bit about those.
We have, so we've tried to support and guide employers as much as we possibly could. We've upped our marketing game in terms of the e-shots that we're doing, trying to provide a central network really for our clients and contacts to get hold of information for grants, so whether it be the council reliefs or such things like that. We've also implemented new solutions for CBILs, so we're helping businesses with a CBIL application and furlough claims. So that's from a point of the calculation and the submission to the revenue as well, for our own clients who we process payroll for, but also for those clients who may do their own payroll but just want that little bit of hand-holding as well. Yes, just a central database really for all clients and contacts.
It's been an incredible year when you think of all the changes that have gone on and announcements that have been made, all of which have affected every aspect of our lives and business. How on earth do you keep up with the fast changing situation?
Yeah, so we've got particular one person on board that it's his job daily to have a look really and refresh on all the information and keep in contact with whether it be the local council, the Chamber of Commerce, or the revenue itself on the daily updates. We do get feeds coming through with saying that the page has been updated, so we can drill in then to see what those updates are. So it's just continually keeping that communication going.
Well done for all the hard work. In reflection, what are your takeaways for this year?
I think from us as a business, key is communication. As well, for us internally, it's allowed us to reflect on how our processes and efficiencies are, and work to most remote working really. We're already set up to have 30 remote working for when we go out on audits and such like, but it was to get the whole workforce out and working remote, and looking at how we actually do things and how we can improve it.
Well, thanks for all your help, for keeping us in the know. As we know, it's an incredibly fast-changing situation. We do all appreciate that support. Have you got any plans for the next few months in terms of business? How are you going to market?
Well, we did have the new job support scheme which we had planned for, and obviously last Saturday that was announced that was being postponed and the furlough scheme was being extended. So it's putting plans in place so we can support clients now until the end of March with the furlough scheme. And also from the CF front, we've got a new director on board, so it's just looking at what else we can offer our clients, and really showcasing what support is there for them. I think some businesses are unaware of that sector, that part of our business, which we can really do hand holding in terms of cash flows, forecasts, and any other future grants that may be available that we can help with.
Thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Now onto a sector that has been extremely hard hit by the pandemic, and a business who have adapted their working practices, the Wellbeing Farm. To tell you more, please welcome back Miranda Barker, Chief Executive of the East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce.
Hello again. Whilst a lot of hospitality and events businesses shut their doors and furloughed their staff during lockdown, the Wellbeing Farm, based in Edgeworth, adapted virtual working practices. They remained in constant contact with couples, organising Zoom meetings, free of charge backup dates, and supporting them in difficult times. They wanted couples to feel confident in booking a wedding date with them, so they introduced a Book with Confidence offer, where couples could book that date with them for just 50% of their deposit. During this time, Celia Gaze, the founder, revisited her own health and well-being and created an 100 Days of Wellbeing Challenge. While doing this, she also identified emerging trends post-lockdown, being sustainability, well-being and fun, and wondered could these elements be combined. So a pivot emerged, the Northwest Centre for Business and Team Wellbeing, in collaboration with #WellbeingLancashire, brought together the very best wellbeing providers that Lancashire has to offer. The centre offers a creative event space for strategy, meetings and team building days to corporates keen to look after their staff. The Wellbeing Farm faces a fantastic future with a huge doubling of turnover expected for 2021, predominantly from making numerous event bookings during lockdown, which has generated revenue for the hospitality business not only to survive but to thrive. Congratulations and well done.
What a great initiative and success story within hospitality. I would now like to welcome back Ian Brown to tell you all about Pulford Farm Dairies, another of our many nominated businesses.
Thank you, Tez. In the beginning of lockdown, so many of their milk customers were businesses that had shut down almost overnight. Their many pub and restaurant customers closed their doors, leaving them with an abundance of milk and cream. They very quickly realised that in order to keep themselves and their 140 strong herd of cows in a job, they needed to think fast. Pulford Dairies advertised their doorstop milk delivery service on social media and their website, and very quickly turned everything around. Many people were afraid to leave their houses, and as supermarkets ran out of supplies, they stepped up to the mark and delivered to their doorsteps. Their livestock still needed daily care, and their dairy stepped up to bottle more milk. They even had to buy in milk from other farms to meet demand. The way they had to collect payments had to change too, as they could no longer call for the traditional milk money. They invested in sum-up technology and used text, email and traditional invoicing to ensure a steady cash flow. All of the team worked extra hard to make sure our corner shops, nursing homes and doorstep customers and businesses remained with a supply of milk, eggs and cream. One family member, Joe, also set up a Facebook farm shop selling bread, cheese, bacon and other products for when we were all in complete lockdown. During this time, they also organised the Great Lancashire Litter Hunt in association with the NFU. This raised over £1,000 for the North West Air Ambulance as they noticed that charities were struggling to raise money over lockdown. I'm sure you will all agree this is a business who have truly been in it together.
Thank you, Ian. Now we'll pass you back over to Michael Hill, Chair of the Hive Manufacturing Excellence Group and Managing Director of Optima Control Solutions Limited, to highlight the great work the CMAC Group have done.
Thank you, Tez. Now, the CMAC Group are a leading pan-European ground transport and accommodation provider. Agile in their nature, by adapting their existing technologies, CMAC have been able to support their clients from local organisations to blue chip companies throughout the COVID pandemic and safely deliver supplies throughout the UK. They've also provided post-COVID emergency transport plans to reopening businesses whilst ensuring employees travel safely. CMAC's team have positively disrupted traditional working practices by accelerating the digitalisation of their business systems, thereby helping customers and suppliers to pursue any post-pandemic growth plans. This initiative is driving change to positively impact the planet and accelerate CMAC's transition to a sustainable future. CMAC is renowned for its fantastic culture and empowerment of employees at every level. Central to this has always been consistent communication. Throughout the pandemic, the CEO supported all staff in adjusting to working from home and maintained their inclusive culture by organising weekly wellbeing work hours. A particular note is the fundraising achievement of the CMAC representatives who walked 18.6 miles to raise £4,500 for a local charity. Another great example of a local business not only adapting their own working practices but also working hard to support our charity sector. Well done.
Thank you, Michael. Now we would like to showcase a nomination for a great individual and business. To tell us more about Mike Hales and the Butler's Arms, please join me in welcoming back Danny Davis, Business Development Manager at Blackburn Rovers and a good friend of mine.
The Butler's Arms contacted Creative Football during the pandemic with an idea of food parcels. The team received donations and funded 1,000 items. This calculated in over 110 parcels for families in need in the Blackburn and Darwen area during the pandemic. The parcels included food, toiletries, books and toys for families. Aside from that, the Butler's Arms pay a pitch hire fee weekly for the Blokes United initiative, who run sessions to help people with mental health, in recovery and learning difficulties in Blackburn. As well as funding the sessions, Mike and the team put on free food and brews at the pub for 25 to 50 participants every single week. The Creative Football team are proud to have him in the community and feel his efforts need to be quite rightly recognised. A huge well done to Mike and the Butler's Arms team.
Thank you, Danny boy. To keep with the sporting theme, I will hand you all over to Cora Rose, owner of KRPR, to tell you about another nominated business, the Ewood Experience at Blackburn Rovers.
Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying the evening so far. The Ewood Experience team have been nominated for their outstanding commitment and resilience to the pandemic. Rather than staff be furloughed, they were asked to take redeployment to work in another business sector, healthcare, to go to work in hospitals to help. Some staff were deployed to work at Manchester Hospital in various roles, and other staff were asked to work on the opening of the new COVID-19 testing sites. For many, this was so alien, working in another business sector, having worked in events and hospitality for so many years. Training a kitchen, knives and thousands of meals each week for test kits and PPE. The majority of the team have worked from the 1st of April onwards at various test sites, including Manchester Airport, and then moving on to open up Rochdale Walk-in Test Centre, and then Blackburn Test Centre, located on Old Bank Lane, where they successfully mobilised the site and continue to run the operation as site managers. They've all taken on these roles to help the local community and to do their bit for the pandemic. They will continue to work at the test centres for the foreseeable future until the return of conferences, events and celebrations within the events industry. Another inspiring example of how the business community have stepped up in the response to COVID. A huge well done.
Thank you, Cara. Now we have our final nomination for the evening, so we will go back over to Philip Ainsworth to tell you about the nomination from Cube HR. As the Managing Director, Lisa Sauerbutz felt there was a member of the team who went above and beyond. Claire Thwaite.
Thank you, Tez. Cube HR have provided HR support for businesses that aren't large enough to have their own HR function. As COVID was new for everyone, along with the government furlough scheme and the ever-changing guidance, Claire has captured the information from daily government briefings and put it into an easy-to-understand format. Together with any actions needed, she has then distributed this to their clients the same day. No one had asked Claire to do this. She took it upon herself to ensure that their clients were as well informed as quickly as possible. Amazing feedback has been received about how quickly Claire was able to inform and how invaluable the updates were in assisting them in navigating through the COVID pandemic. Claire has also introduced initiatives to further support businesses via video sessions on HR-related issues. Claire continues to work relentlessly to ensure clients have the most up-to-date and accurate information that they can. Claire has ensured that all businesses who Cube have helped have been kept up to date with changes as and when they happen. Well done, and congratulations to Claire and the team at Cube HR.
Thank you, Philip. So there we have it, all of our nominated businesses. Now, by no means does this cover all of the amazing work that has been carried out by inspirational people and businesses in the Blackburn with Darwen community during the pandemic. There are so many to mention. However, I do hope you have been moved, motivated and inspired by all of the exceptional businesses and individuals we have showcased this evening. We think one thing is clear: Blackburn with Darwen truly is in it together. Once again, on behalf of Hive, I'd like to thank Blackburn with Darwen Borough Council for their continued support. Tonight simply would not have been possible without them. I would also like to thank all of you, the businesses and business leaders of Blackburn, who have contributed amazing and inspirational work during a time of national crisis. We hope you have enjoyed this evening and continue to keep up the great work throughout COVID-19 and beyond, inshallah. Now, just before this evening draws to a close, we want to highlight one last service whose support has been vital during the coronavirus pandemic and are available for anyone whose mental health has been impacted during the pandemic and beyond. You will now see the details of Minds Matter on screen. Bye everyone.